Well, hi. Good evening, and thanks for looking in. I'm sure half the audience have left now. The Yeah, once again, I had problems setting up the stream. It just I don't know. Facebook just keeps changing things and making things more difficult. Ah, right. Oh, I'm getting messages now. Ah, thank goodness there's somebody out there watching. Sorry about that. So I guess the program's going to be a bit longer than normal. Anyway. To start off with, we got two video slideshows, both quite short. First one is RAF Tanga in 56, 57. Not many of you will remember it, but because I was 4 years old living in Germany. But never mind. Then we've got Paul Wingrove on. He's going to be talking about oh dear me, it's one of them days. Right, it's all the stress of starting this thing up. And we finish with a video as well. Anyway, let's get onto the first video because that'll solve a lot of problems. Well, that was good. That was nice and short. Some good photos there. I love the church though, prefabricated. So anyway, Paul Wingrove. I interviewed him earlier in the week, and it was a long interview, which I had to cut down the best I could. So this is an abridged version. I'm sure we'll have him back on again. I know there's another guy, Peter Gibson wants to come back on. I think we might get a group together and just chat about something. That'd be an idea. Anyway, I'll let Paul speak for himself. Oh, people are coming in. Oh, Brian. Yeah. Paul Murray, yeah. In colour. All right. That's Paul Murray's got some pictures. Yay. Oh, we're all chatting away now. Lovely. Right, I'll continue. Carried away, me. I'll continue with Paul's interview. Thanks very much, Paul, for coming on to the show and talking about your schooling in Singapore and your other various careers since. Can you tell us, you went to Kinloss. When did you, and how did you end up there?
Well, like all people in Kinloss, came from up country where our parents were serving. My father was in EPO um, with the RASC, and I had a year in EPO in junior school from 59 to 60, and then 60 to 62, I was at Kinloss by a process which even now I don't really understand. Um, we were led off in our junior school, all the top year, to a little basher hut, sat at little tables and told we were taking an exam. And when the exam was finished, the results were published. It was revealed that this was the entrance examination for secondary schools. And my father said, well, you have a choice of Kuala Lumpur or Singapore. And I chose Singapore and went to Singapore and Kinloss. And that's how I ended up there. So I had the best of both worlds in a way, as Kinloss kids did. We saw Malaya and we saw Singapore.
That's good. Yeah, I've got a photograph which I'll share with you, which is of pupils
Yes, that's the
at Kinloss House, and I'll just bring it up a little bit because I've circled you in, and you were telling me
well,
about the pupils next and around you.
yes, we think that may be me, but not sure. I mean, it's funny how I can't even recognize my younger self. I do recognize Bratnam and Pradhan there. We're all down below the dormitories. Dormitories are all, well, they're bedrooms really, two to a bedroom, and I shared with Bratnam and Pradhan, Ratty as we called him then, and we nearly always won the prize at the end of term for tidiest bedroom. Even now, I can do hospital corners like nobody else.
Yeah,
And there's Mr. Anthony in the middle there, who was housemaster after John McLeavy, as I remember it, and Mr. Herriot there. Mr. Herriot was music teacher, and I think he was well known to everybody. He taught me. Well, first of all, he realized I couldn't sing. And that's something he was absolutely right about. I've never been able to sing. For the rest of my life, I could not sing. But we had to do an audition. And I think the words he gave us to sing were, I left my pink parasol on the upper deck of a number 9 bus. Oh, bother. Oh, bother. Why? I don't know. Um, and every time I see a number 9 bus in London, I remember Mr. Herriot. But I mean, there are many people on there whose face I don't recognise, but obviously the names are all familiar to Kinloss people from that area. There's
yeah,
Ratty, who I've already mentioned, Ram, Lachin, the Gurkhas were very well respected, Ian Salmon, Chris Webb, Tony, of course, the Laird of Strathay.
yeah.
Um, lots of people on the site were at Kinloss one
That's true.
at
That
one time or another.
yeah, very true. This off for the moment. Yeah. So your time at Kinloss, you were telling me about was it the prep room or something before?
Yes, it's. I really don't know the history of Kinloss. It'd be interesting to find it out. Um, we know the history of the building a little bit, and we know it was established by the army. But you can see little bits of public school creeping into it. Every day, for example, we had to do homework, but in Kinloss it was called prep, which of course is the particularly public school name for doing homework. And because we were uh, the the housemasters at Kinloss were really standing in loco parentis. They had to take care of us. So we couldn't leave Kinloss any time we wanted. We couldn't go out into Singapore. You lucky people who lived in Singapore, you could go around town. We could go out on a Saturday or when we were taken by bus to Britannia Swimming Club or Tanglin or something like that, or on Sunday when we were all loaded into troop carrying vehicles, Catholics in one, um, Protestants in another, and we were
Church
taken
run.
off to the Anglican
Yeah.
Catholic Church. Very army, isn't it? You know, Catholics to the left, Protestants to the right. In your buses, off we go. Um, but we could only go out if we signed out on a Saturday a big bound book. I remember it now, and on its cover it said "Exeat," which again was a carryover from public schools. It's uh, the Latin present subjunctive, let him or her go out. So I suspect there was something of a public school input into the early days of Kinloss, but I really don't know. Others may know better than me. Tony, Chris, Bratty, I call upon you.
Yeah, and I've got a picture here of the canteen. Bring that up. The canteen there, the pupils lining up to collect their food and that. You were telling me there was
Yeah.
a bit of a dispute at one point.
Yes, there was. I only know it was about pay. The cooks went on strike. I think it was probably for about a week, and we were on sandwiches for quite a long time. Even now, I don't know who made sandwiches, um, but I remember I must have been either precocious or obnoxious, perhaps both, um, because I decided that I was sympathetic to the cooks, and I went round the back of the cookhouse when all was quiet, back of the canteen, and I talked to the cooks. I said, "Why are you on strike?" And they're very open and honest about it. They just chatted away to me, and it turned out that these were cooks who had family elsewhere, not in Singapore,
Hmm.
and they needed to be able to make a living wage for themselves and also to be able to send money to their families overseas. So
Yeah,
they must have been on something quite low. I mean, it's the other side of colonial life that we didn't really see. Everybody who was in Singapore, everybody who's at Kinloss, I know, had a wonderful time.
yeah,
You had the weather, the scenery, as much pineapple and coconut as you could eat. Um, but we saw it through children's eyes. We didn't see it through the eyes of adults. That is, this was a working society and economy. People had to make their living in it. People lived under certain conditions. And one of those conditions was that up until late 1950s, Singapore and Malaya largely controlled by Great Britain and the military and civil administrators, and they set the terms of work for people like the cooks in Kinloss. I mean, I don't want to make a big thing of it.
no.
I was just curious why they went on strike, and I'm very happy that they told me, and I felt quite a bit of sympathy for them. I don't know how it was settled. I hope they gave them the money.
Obviously, you mentioned a few people that were at Kinloss there. Did you actually meet any of them while you were out there, or did you meet them afterwards at reunions and that?
There are quite a few people that I knew in Kinloss very well that I've met since. Um, I mean, Tony, Lela
Yeah.
Strate, um, I've met him a lot. I remember him and his brother arriving, and they both had crew cuts. Um, uh, but I particularly remember because I was very friendly with him, Ian Salmon, um, who in later life became a dentist in the Birmingham area. I was delighted to see him at the last Penang, um, where he proved to be a really hot dancer, right little mover on the dance floor, along with his wife, Liz. Um, there are some that I haven't met, but I'm obviously in touch with them on Facebook. People like Chris Webb,
Mm.
um, Rat the Man, and I forgot Ram. I did Ram Bahadur Gurung in Sonning. It wasn't one of the reunions arranged a la Hatfield, as it were, or Shandor. So I can't remember who arranged it, but we went to a pub in Sonning, and I was on the train going to Sonning from London to Sonning, and bumped into Ram. It was the most amazing experience. Um, and he, of course, is on Facebook. And I discovered that he was, at that time, I don't know if it's still the case, he was running a golf course in the Himalayas.
What happened next? Yeah, so at Kinloss, you then moved on back to England, I assume, after
Yes,
Singapore and
we
that.
we came back by troop ship. I think we were almost the last of them in '62. People were starting to take planes then. You know, there was the
Yes.
Britannia Comet, various other planes. But we were lucky to go out by troop ship and back by troop ship. And we returned to Blackpool
Yeah.
and then Berwick. And then finally, I ended up me and my family ended up in Newcastle, not far from where you are now, Tom.
I was going to
Where
say,
that's where
yeah,
most of my family live now.
yeah.
I've got so many nephews and nieces, you can't move in Newcastle without bumping into them.
Yeah.
Um,
So what was
and
your
then,
I was going to say, what was sort of like memories of Singapore as a whole? I mean, did you see much of the in Kinloss House? Were you able to
mm,
explore Singapore as much?
oh yes, yes, we got around quite a lot. They were very good at taking us out.
Yeah.
Um, so we went to all the obvious places. We went to Britannia Swimming Club, Van Cleef Aquarium, McRitchie Reservoir.
Mm.
Um, we used to get landing craft taking us out for half-term picnics on islands off the coast.
Yeah.
So yes, my memories are very mixed, and include, of course, obviously getting to Kinloss, train which went from Penang to Singapore to Kinloss, taking us to Kinloss, picked up Army, Navy, Air Force children all the way down the west coast. And that was a fabulous train ride. 2 days it took with a stop at Kuala Lumpur. You probably had people tell you this already. And I know there were people like Ian Salmon got on at Penang and Ram Gurung got on at Ipoh, although I didn't actually know him till I got to Kinloss. Um, Wonderful, wonderful train ride through the Malayan countryside, staying overnight at Kuala Lumpur. And although we were supposed to be looked after on the train, I do remember we used to walk out between the carriages when the train was going very slowly, which it quite often did, and just sort of stand on the steps here and occasionally hang off the steps, holding onto a handle. If it had happened nowadays, I
Yeah.
think the people in charge of us would have been sued, taken to court for neglect or something.
Oh dear, lovely.
It's my memories of Singapore slightly more constrained than my memories of Ipoh, because of course when I was in Ipoh I could just get on my bike with my brother and we'd go off all over the place, and we'd go to the Buddhist temples and the caves on the outskirts
Mm.
of Ipoh. It all seemed so normal. You know,
Yeah, yeah.
that's what people forget, how normal it was for us. Forced children to get up every 2 years and move to somewhere else, exotic very often, and just immediately fit in. After Singapore, we settled down, say, in Newcastle, where I did my last few years of school.
Mm.
Then I went off to university. Then I went into a career mainly in lecturing and research in politics and international relations. Um, that I retired from early at the age of 60. And purely by accident, really, I knew somebody in the local area who was a, a film extra, film and TV extra, very good friend of mine. She's now about 88 years old. And I talked to her about doing that sort of work, and she helped me to get started. And so I've been working in film and television as an extra for about 8 or 9 years now, and having a lot of fun for me. It's been a lot of fun for me. It's a really, really interesting insight into another area of work. I mean, it just works so differently for anything else I've known. I know at schools, it always irritates me when schools encourage kids to do sport, even if they don't want to do sport, like me. I didn't want to do bloody football, bloody cricket, um, uh, and rugby. God, I hated rugby. Apart from anything else, I was sort of 7 stone weakling, your original 7 stone weakling.
Me
But
and
I
you are
hated
so
at
much
school when they,
alike.
yes, they always used to say, "Oh, it encourages teamwork." And firstly, I don't know if teamwork is necessarily something you want to encourage. I mean, you
Yeah,
might want to encourage individuality. Um, you have to have a bit of both, I guess. But secondly, having worked in film industry now, if you want to see film teamwork, go to the film industry. They're working absolutely on the day of a shoot to really tight schedules. Everybody has to do their bit, and they're all in touch through walkie-talkies, and they all have to work absolutely together as a
yeah.
team. Um, so it's wonderful to see it being done and how they get a whole lot of people, actors and extras, and a whole lot of technicians,
Mm.
sound, lighting, camera, set decoration, props, see them and turn it into something magic. So for me, it's been an eye opener, and of course, it pays as well. So
Yes.
I'm not bankrupt yet. You know, I can afford to buy my blue ribbons. Where are my blue ribbons? There they are.
Lovely. Oh, dear. So you got into acting and that, and I've got some photos of you in various productions. One of your appearances. Um, Obviously, it wasn't your first one, but it's not your last one either. So whereabouts in your career did this fit in?
This was, I mean, Wonder Woman. That Wonder Woman, I think, was probably about 4 years ago. So
Yeah.
probably just over halfway through my career as I'm going to say extra, but actually they don't use the term extra now.
No.
Um, they use the term supporting artist, which is always abbreviated to SA. So if you go to a film set and you're an extra in quotes, they will always say, "Are you an SA?" So I guess this is halfway through my SA career. This is a very small scene of the war cabinet in Wonder Woman, and I was meant to be playing Lloyd George there.
Yeah.
I don't know if I look completely like Lloyd George, but you know, possibly so. Uh, and the just to the right of the picture, as I see it, the woman with her back to
Yeah.
us there is Wonder Woman.
All right.
I don't know how she gets there. She comes to the war cabinet to give them a warning about something terrible about to happen.
Right. Right.
And that was great fun. When you see it in Wonder Woman, it looks wonderful. The room we're in, the war cabinet, looks like some swish room in Whitehall or in some grand country mansion. But actually, it's a beautiful set they built in. Oh God, was it Pinewood? I think it was Pinewood.
Yeah.
Uh, Lovely set. I mean, set technicians. It's lovely to see them work. They can build anything and make it look real.
Mm, excellent. Yeah. So there's another scene from Patrick
Oh yes,
Melrose.
yes, yes. This is a very interesting thing. It's uh, the book. It's taken from a book called Patrick Melrose, and it's sort of semi-autobiographical about a guy who's pretty high up, pretty well connected in British society, but he has a terrible drug habit and the things he has to go through. This is supposed to be a scene where he's at a banquet with Princess Margaret in blue in the middle there. This
Right.
was actually in a rather nice house, a mansion up in High Wycombe, to the north of London.
Mm.
And the scene is that the French ambassador to the right of Princess Margaret sorry, did I say Princess Anne? I meant Princess Margaret. Princess Margaret drops some soup or spills some soup on Princess Margaret's dress. And Princess Margaret just gives him a look and says, "Wipe," which the French ambassador does. I'm there on the right having a lovely glass of wine, which is actually Ribena.
Lovely.
And I'm sitting opposite, just to my left there, Benedict Cumberbatch, who's the hero of the film. So again, that was a lovely thing to do. And you get to see places like this lovely High Wycombe house and the park and grounds it was set in.
It's smashing, yeah. So, the Archbishop.
Yes. Oh, well, here's me as the Archbishop of Canterbury, marrying Meghan and Harry. This was only about a year or so ago. It's a Harry Enfield spoof, the Windsors, and this was a one-off edition called the Windsors Wedding of the Year. And I got a bit weak-kneed at this because the lady playing Meghan is Catherine Drysdale, who I've loved since I first started watching Two Pints of Lager, a comedy set in Runcorn. She played Louise, the ditzy one.
Yeah.
And she's lovely. Interesting thing about this is that it looks as though we're in a grand cathedral. But in fact, we were in a room, I suppose, about 30 feet long, with the three of us at one end and the camera at the other. And we were playing in front of a green screen. So they film it with a green screen, and then they take it away to the editing studio, and they put the cathedral in afterwards. But that was wonderful. Catherine was very nice to me. Very, very, very pleasant lady indeed. This is the photo now of, this was just one I took. We were filming in Somerset House. That's James Corden there and Andrew Lloyd Webber. This is something I don't do very often, but I was a stand-in for Andrew Lloyd Webber. I was taking the photo there with my iPhone. What happens with stand-ins is when they're preparing the lights and the camera angles and they're just rehearsing, a stand-in has the script in his hand and just reads through the script and goes through the moves so they get the camera angles and the lights right. And I was the stand-in for Andrew Lloyd Webber. I mean, looking at him, I don't really see the similarity. It was supposed to be reasonably similar.
No, I don't think there's any similarity.
They called me the other Andrew on the day. Some passing similarity. But it was a wonderful thing to do just because I could see James Corden and Andrew Lloyd Webber at work. Very close up. But it's something that by and large essays don't do an awful lot of, because there's only on a big film there's only a call for maybe 1, 2, or 3 stand-ins for the main character,
right?
Whereas for background, generally, you may range from 3 or 4 to a couple of hundred. Some shoots I've done. I remember doing a shoot in the Excel Centre in London. It was a Tom Cruise film. I guess it was one of the Mission Impossibles. There seemed to be about 500 supporting artists. That's as big as it gets.
That's a lot.
I think I've talked more about being a sporting artist than I have about being an ex-Kinloss person. There's so many. I mean, this is the thing about memory, isn't it? That one thing jogs memory of another. All the time you've got, I don't know, a couple of dozen memories, but they don't always surface. I mean, as I'm talking to you, I'm just thinking, well, I remember now the botanical gardens, because whenever we wanted to go from Kinloss, walking from Kinloss to the Tanglin Pool, at GHQ Far Elf, which I'd also forgotten about.
Yeah.
We had to walk through the botanical gardens and then across the lovely lawns of GHQ Far Elf up to the Catholic Church and the swimming pool. Thank you so much, Tom, for being such a lovely host and for inviting me to talk to you. I hope I haven't rambled on too much. You do a fantastic job with these things. It's lovely to hear these memories from other people from their perspective of Singapore, Malaya, and other places. And I'd just like to take the opportunity, as I'm here with you, sun shining on my face, to say hello to all my friends from Singapore, Malaya days, wherever they may be, and all the other friends I've made through Facebook. A special big wave to people in Australia because it's so far away, isn't it? I've really got to wave bigly like this, get the wave to Australia.
Oh, smashing. Thanks very much, Paul.
Okay, thank you, Tom. You've been great.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Well, that was an enjoyable afternoon recording that. Thanks to Paul for coming on and doing an interview. I am trying to get lots of people onto the show and to interview them. So if you want to come on and talk about your photographs or your time in Singapore at any point, then do get in touch. You can get me through Facebook or through this website, or even email me. Geraldine in Canada. Lovely. Yeah, so anybody that wants to come on and talk, we can arrange it, and we'll broadcast it. Right, so we finish off now with Simon Moore's photographs. These were taken by his father, and they show the notable buildings that were in Singapore back in the 70s. I say 70 because his father was there from, and Simon was 69 to 72. His dad was with 103 Squadron at RAF Changi. So these are his dad's photographs. Simon himself has got a lot of photographs in the Changi page, RAF Changi page, which I shall at one time do a video slideshow with. I know he's got a lot of aircraft photographs, but he's also got photos of a return trip to Changi, touring the estates and the hospital and that. So anyway, this is his video, and I'll see you in a fortnight. Okay, take care.